For over 2,000 years, the world saw incredible empires that rose from nothing to ruling entire regions and continents, reshaping history, cultures, and economies, like the Holy Roman Empire, the Great Britain, to superpowers like the United States and China. And now, there's another giant rising, unlike any other power before it. In this video, you're about to find out the country quietly becoming the next superpower, how it is doing it in real time, and the process that got it here step by step. Subscribe and tap that like button, and also drop your thoughts as usual down below. For years, the world focused on two superpowers, the United States and China. But while everyone was watching that rivalry unfold, another country was quietly rising in the background. Now, global companies are moving factories there. World leaders are competing for its partnership. Its economy is becoming one of the largest on Earth. Its military is among the top 5 giants of the world. Its technology sector is exploding. And it now has the biggest population in the world. That country is India. And some experts believe it could become one of the most powerful nations of the 21st century. But how did this happen so fast? Not so long ago, India was perceived to be this poor, overpopulated, and untidy nation by most of the world. But now, this very same India has its name on the highest rankings of the global achievements in almost every major sector that is mostly dominated by superpowers.
India became the 4th country to achieve a soft landing on the moon. India became the first country ever to land near the moon's south polar region. It has nuclear weapons, one of the strongest militaries in the world, one of the largest and most important economies of the world, and the list goes on. Can India actually challenge the world's biggest powers? Because behind the headlines is a much bigger story. A story about economics, technology, military power, global influence, and a massive geopolitical shift already changing the future of the world economy.
To understand why the world is suddenly paying attention to India, you first have to understand its scale. Because India is not just another fast-growing economy, it is massive. More than 1.4 billion people live there. That means roughly 1 out of every 6 people on Earth is Indian. And unlike many powerful countries facing aging populations and shrinking workforces, India is still incredibly young. Its average age is nearly 10 years younger than China's. That may sound like a small detail, but in economics, demographics can shape the future of entire nations. A younger population means more workers, more consumers, more entrepreneurs, more engineers, more people buying homes, building businesses, and entering the economy for decades to come. And while countries across Europe and East Asia worry about population decline, India is entering the exact phase where economies often accelerate rapidly. That alone has made global investors pay attention. But demographics were only the beginning, because over the last few years, something much bigger started happening. The world began moving toward India.
For decades, China dominated global manufacturing. The world became deeply dependent on Chinese factories. Phones, electronics, machinery, industrial components. Much of it came from China. Then, the global system was hit by a series of shocks. Trade wars, supply chain disruptions, COVID-19. And suddenly, governments and corporations realized something dangerous. The world had become too dependent on one country. So companies started looking for alternatives. And increasingly, they looked toward India. Apple expanded production there. Foxconn invested billions. Major manufacturers started shifting parts of their supply chains into Indian industrial zones. And India saw an opportunity. The government launched massive initiatives like Make in India, hoping to transform the country into a global manufacturing powerhouse. New highways appeared, ports expanded, Rail systems modernized. Airports grew larger. Entire industrial corridors were planned across the country. India wasn't just trying to grow. It was trying to reposition itself in the global economy. And for the first time in years, many multinational corporations started asking a new question. What if India becomes the next major engine of global growth?
But India's rise is not only about factories. In many ways, its most important growth may be happening in technology. Over the last 2 decades, cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad transformed into major global tech hubs. Some people even started calling Bangalore the Silicon Valley of India. And the numbers are staggering. India produces huge numbers of engineers and software developers every year. Its IT industry became deeply connected to the global economy. Companies like Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, and Wipro expanded across the world. Meanwhile, Indian-born executives started rising to the top of global technology itself. Sundar Pichai became the CEO of Google. Satya Nadella took over Microsoft. Arvind Krishna became CEO of IBM. That shift mattered psychologically, because India was no longer seen only as a place providing outsourced labor. It was producing leaders shaping the future of global technology. And perhaps the clearest example of India's digital transformation came through something surprisingly simple: payments. In many countries, digital payment systems developed slowly. India moved fast. Its unified payments interface, known as UPI, completely changed how money moves across the country. Street vendors use it, taxi drivers use it, small shops use it. Millions of transactions happen instantly every day. In some ways, parts of India leapfrogged older financial systems entirely. And that digital growth is helping create something India has never had before at this scale: a rapidly expanding middle class connected directly to the modern global economy. As India's economy expanded, so did its billionaires. And some of them became symbols of the country's growing ambitions. Mukesh Ambani built Reliance Industries into one of the largest business empires in Asia. Energy, telecommunications, retail, technology. Reliance Jio alone transformed India's internet market by making mobile data dramatically cheaper for millions of people. Then came Gautam Adani. His business empire expanded aggressively into ports, airports, logistics, mining, and energy infrastructure. Together, these companies became deeply tied to India's economic transformation. But rapid growth also created new tensions. Because while wealth surged at the top, millions of Indians still struggled with poverty and unemployment. Luxury skyscrapers rose over crowded neighborhoods. Tech billionaires accumulated enormous fortunes, while inequality widened. And critics increasingly asked, who is truly benefiting from India's rise? Because every emerging superpower faces the same challenge. Growth creates opportunity, but it also creates pressure. And India's transformation is happening at extraordinary speed.
Economic power alone does not create a superpower. Military strength matters too, and India has spent years expanding and modernizing its armed forces. Today, India maintains one of the largest militaries on Earth. It possesses nuclear weapons, advanced missile systems, aircraft carriers, modern fighter jets, and growing space and satellite capabilities. But India's military rise is not happening in isolation, because it sits in one of the most strategically important and dangerous regions in the world. To the west is Pakistan, to the north is China, and tensions with both countries have shaped India's security strategy for decades. In 2020, deadly clashes between Indian and Chinese troops in the Galwan Valley shocked the world. It was one of the most serious confrontations between the two nuclear powers in years. And it reminded global leaders of something important. Asia's rising powers are not just economic competitors. They are geopolitical rivals. Since then, India has strengthened military cooperation with countries like the United States, Japan, and Australia through the Quad Alliance. Because as China's influence expanded, India increasingly became viewed as a critical counterbalance in Asia. And that geopolitical role may become even more important in the years ahead.
For decades, the global economy revolved around a relatively small group of dominant powers. But that system is changing. The world is becoming more multipolar, and India is positioning itself carefully inside that transition. Unlike many countries, India has avoided fully aligning itself with one side. It buys discounted oil from Russia while strengthening ties with Western economies. It trades with multiple rival powers at the same time. That flexibility gives India leverage, and global leaders know it. India hosted the G20 summit. Foreign investment continues flowing in. Major corporations increasingly see India as one of the most important long-term markets in the world. Even global financial institutions now project India as one of the fastest-growing major economies of the coming decades. The perception of India is changing rapidly, not just as a developing nation, but as a future center of global power. And perhaps the biggest sign of that shift is this. The world no longer talks about whether India matters. That debate is already over. Now the question is, how powerful India could become. Superpowers are not built in a single decade. The United States took generations to rise. China's transformation took decades. And India's story is still unfolding. The country still faces enormous challenges: poverty, infrastructure gaps, political tensions, pollution, inequality. All of these could slow its rise. But despite those problems, India is already changing the global balance of power. Economically, technologically, militarily, and strategically. And while much of the world spent years focused on existing superpowers, India kept growing quietly in the background, until suddenly it was no longer possible to ignore. Because the country quietly becoming the next superpower may already be reshaping the future